On July 1st, 2021, I hit the road as a brand new trucking company owner with $50,000 in debt. In just a mere 2 years and 4 days later, I was paying cash for a brand new $160,000 truck. Let me show you how I did it. Hi everyone, I'm EJ Anderson, the congressional auditor turned long haul truck blogger, also known as the happiest, kindest trucker on the road. So I've been laying out my truck independently, retire early strategy for you guys. So I've given you the first piece, truck love, and I've given you the second piece, truck minimal. If you want to know more about those, you can go watch those videos. Now, for this video, truck wealthy, I'm going to give you my third piece of the tire strategy, and you will learn precisely how much you can realistically earn and save while trucking. Now, I am always skeptical of those videos where truckers show how much money they made, and you should be too. So many truckers post how much they made, but most of the time, it's the gross amount, which means that's how much they took in, but that does not exactly tell you how much they took home or the net amount. Another thing is there's a lot of egos in trucking. Truckers are always trying to show off. So one good thing about the numbers I'm going to give you is that number one, I'm very careful about tracking it. And number two, I'm not trying to show off. All I care about is helping you guys use trucking as a vehicle to live your best life. So welcome to my White Glove Trucking channel, where I am devoted to doing just that. Okay, you guys, this is the financial game plan. This is the blueprint that took me 3 years as a company trucking owner to figure out. You get to have this information from day one of starting your trucking company. Now, when I first started trucking, I thought it was going to be a pay cut, but I didn't care because I wanted to do work that I enjoy doing. I could never have guessed it would be such a financial life changer for me. It totally transformed my life money-wise. When I launched my trucking company, after I bought my truck, my trailer, and I was ready to roll on day one, I had $20,000 in cash, but I also had $20,000 in credit card debt. So they kind of canceled each other out. I had also taken out a $50,000 loan from my government retirement savings plan, which I was going to have to pay back in 6 months. That was July 1st, 2021, and I was starting my trucking operations with $50,000 in debt. Then just 2 years and 4 days later, on July 5th, 2023, I used cash to buy a $160,000 brand new International LT. At that time, I had eliminated the credit card debt and not just paid back the $50,000 loan, but I had added another $80,000 to my retirement. Now, if you add the $137,000 in cash payment for the truck after trade-in and the $1,000 left in my checking account, when you add all that up, I went from being $50,000 in debt to being worth $218,000, which means I had made a $268,000 turnaround in just 2 years. I had made $268,000 in 2 years, all in trucking, all because of trucking. That's crazy to me. In just 2 years of trucking minimal, I had saved what would have taken me over 12 years to save at my old job as a federal auditor. When I was at that job, I could have never dreamed that I could pay cash for something that cost that much. In just a couple of years trucking, my life had changed dramatically. I had totally leveled up financially. All right, now, hold on. Now, before we get carried away, so I do want to say now, even though this was my experience, so I don't want to shortchange the transformative possibilities that lie in trucking. But I also know that I have yet to repeat this performance I got when I first started. So let's check out the numbers so we can see how much we can realistically expect to earn and save while trucking. So let's start by looking at what I've been able to make, both as a company driver and through the ups and downs of being an owner operator. Okay, first we start with the company driver to get a baseline. Now, I drove the most miles as a company driver. As a company driver, I made about $3,000. I took home about $3,000 a month, which would equate to about $18,000 in 6 months. Now, I did everything in 6-month increments because it better highlights the ups and downs when I get to the owner-operator part. Okay, next we have my owner-operator best performance. This was my first 6 months, and I bought my truck with 346,000 miles on it. Now, this great performance was a combination of great rates at the time, and it was prior to the point where I had to start replacing and repairing a bunch of stuff on a used truck. Now, this was technically not my best 6 months. I used that first 6 months because I had the data. But if I could have used my last 3 months of 2021 and my first 3 months of 2022, that would have actually been my absolute best 6 months I ever did, which would have been about 105 to 115,000, somewhere between that, between 105 and 115,000 net. Now, one of the things that helped me during this time was I was a brand new owner operator, and this was the most money I had ever made. So I was hungry and eager to make as much as I could. I remember watching an ATBS video where they were looking at the amount of miles that owner operators had driven during the boom. And they were shocked that the miles had actually went down. Basically, what they found out is because the rates were so good and people were able to make their truck payments with running less miles, they took time off. They decided to take it easy. I was the total opposite. Every single month, I tried to make more than the previous month. And at one point, I was trying not to break this chain of making at least $30,000 in revenue every month. Look, trucking is boom and gloom. So you have got to take advantage of the boom when you get it. Now, this might seem a little counterintuitive, but it is much better to run hard when the rates are high and then chill out a little bit when the rates are low. Now, in order to do that, you have to save when the rates are high so that when the rates go low, you don't have to work harder to make ends meet. Okay, next, let's take a look at my owner operator worst performance. Now here you see that I only made $13,500 in 6 months, which equated to about 25 cents a mile. Here we have the double whammy. The rates have gone down and that snowball effect of repair started to happen. It's like once it starts, you seem to be repairing something every single month on a used truck. Now I paid $40,000 in repairs during this period for 6 months. Now that was including trailer, so it was truck and trailer, but it was primarily truck repairs. This is what prompted me to buy a new truck. I was so frustrated that I had just spent all of that money on those repairs just to trade it in soon afterwards for a measly $27,000. But I learned all these things the hard way, so you don't have to. Okay, next, my owner operator current performance. Now I just grabbed my most recent 6 months and I have pocketed about $57,000. So that would be a respectable $114,000 a year. Now here I have a new truck, so you can see that I have a little bit more miles run because there's more consistent uptime. Now, this is what I recommend you use to make realistic estimates on what is possible to earn and save while trucking. Now, you're going to be shocked at this, but I earned this averaging a measly $1.65 per mile over that period, getting loads from the spot market. And that's why I'm confident in recommending you use this as a baseline to figure out what you could earn. Now, you guys, this is what this means. Now, all rates have to do is return to historically normal levels. And since through all this pain, I've learned how to run optimally, and I'm trying to share this with you guys, hopefully, when the market returns to normal, we should be able to make what I was making during the boom time. And this is basically because I didn't know what the heck I was doing during the boom time. I had just started. I could have made even more. But now that I do have a good idea of how to run, I should be able to make boom time like money in a normal market. Okay, to sum up this part, I had a couple of just overall observations. All right, number one, you can see that I made the most and the least as an owner operator, which kind of makes sense. As a company driver, you have a little more stable situation, but you have less upside and less downside. And the second observation, I thought it was crazy that just depending on the period of time, whether it was boom or gloom, I was able to make in 1 month of boom time what it took me 6 months to earn in gloom time. Okay, so I've shared with you what I made over that time. So how does this look long term? Like, so for example, how long would it take us to save like $1 million? Now, when doing long-term planning and trucking, I like to think of it in terms of what I can do with a 1 truck cycle. Or another way to think of it is what can you do in a 4-year increment? So now, first off, I hope I've convinced you that we need to plan conservatively as if the current market will be the constant market. So we will use my current performance as our guide. That way, if we get a boom just one time in those 4 years, it'll be something that's nice to have rather than something that's a need to survive. So you see here in year 1, so for this estimate, we make $114,000. In year 2, we make $110,000. In year 3, we make $105,000. And in year 4, we make $100,000. The amounts go down every year because the truck maintenance goes up every year as the truck ages. So over that 4-year period, we made $429,000. Now, every 4th year, we buy a new truck at $180,000. Now we trade in our old truck for say $30,000, which makes the total purchase when you buy a new truck at estimating $150,000. That leaves us with a total amount saved over that 4 years of $279,000. So taking that new truck purchase into account, we're actually saving about $70,000 a year. Now, the key thing I've done here, which most people don't do when they show you the numbers, is account for the purchasing of that new truck. This is where most people telling you about their income mess up. Now, I will explain in a later video why this is crucial, but for now, you just have to trust me. So, to add that up, at the rate of saving $70,000 per year, we would be millionaires in about 14 years. That is a hell of a lot shorter than it would have taken me at my old job, if I would have gotten there at all. Now remember, we are basing this on my current average rate per mile of $1.65. So for every cent we can push this average up, it will mean another $1,000 to $1,200 earned for the year. So you can see how our earnings could really increase if rates just return to normal historical levels of say $2, $2.50 a mile, let alone getting, boom time figures of $3, $3.50, $4. All right, guys, that's our financial blueprint. What we can earn, what we can save. All right, to sum all this up, trucking is complex and yet simple at the same time. It's complex because there are a lot of little things to learn with no real good guide for how to do it. That's why so many companies fail, because everybody has to learn from scratch. But once you know the formula, it's pretty simple. And because I'm giving out the formula, anyone will be able to take what I've learned and replicate it from the start. I'll be perfectly honest. Even with my background, master's degree, accounting experience, I don't know if I would have made it in trucking if I had not started at such an opportune time. Thankfully, I got to learn in a very forgiving environment. But I promise you, when I get all of these videos done on this channel, everybody should be able to start a successful trucking company and be on the right path to using trucking as a vehicle to live their best life. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.